These church boys are still, as you ladies say, F-boys. And women, my age of 25, we still gotta fall into these traps. I am on a level that you cannot reach. Hi guys, I hope you can't hear that. It doesn't bother you too much. I'm in the process of cooking. I have so much to do. I had so much to do today. It was my nephew's birthday. We had a party. My edges been sweated out. As you can see, I have my Erica Badu thing going on. But I just wanted to come and say hello, and I wanted to talk to you guys. I still want to do my Southern Belle Speaks Sunday. As you can see, it's like 11 o'clock, so this probably will go up at midnight, but hey, real life. So, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was something that I came across on the internet. I was looking at like some Christian articles, and a young lady had posted something in regards to abuse, and it caught my eye because of her testimony and just how she felt about herself. And I know that a lot of young ladies deal with this. This is kind of something I dealt with, but not as bad. I didn't deal with abuse, but the feelings that she had and the reasons that she stayed with the abuse I have dealt with. And so, just to give a background to her story, she was a pastor's daughter, as I am, and she was involved in her church camp, her church youth groups, and the things as I am, and have always been. So growing up, I had the same kind of environment that she had. And as we Christian girls know, just because you're in that type of environment doesn't mean that you don't deal with the same feelings, emotions, peer pressure, and everything else that other teens deal with. In fact, maybe more, because people feel the need to kind of expose you to a lot more, just to test and see how far your faith will go. But in her case, she didn't really get involved in a lot of extracurricular secular activities, but she more so would date guys who were heavily involved in the church, not because that's what she was attracted to, but because she thought that it would look good if she was dating them. Because they were so involved in the church and they were so involved in the church youth community, that if she was with them, then it would kind of look like, she was holy, she was heavily involved in this, and she was just as righteous as they seemed. So she was dating an older guy, hiding it obviously, but he went to her school, and he was also heavily involved in the church camp, the church youth groups, and stuff like that. And she was dating him thinking that, her other peers and everybody would, look at her in a well, circulated manner because she was with him. So she ended up dating this guy, and she began to notice different little red flags where he would say some things that were verbally abusive, or he'd say, she was stupid if she forgot something, or, how she looked. He talked down about that. And one day it just escalated. She had lost something of his, and he began to shake her against the locker, and it just got physically abusive after, a time period of it being verbally and mentally, emotionally abusive. But her problem was she felt like she deserved it because she was worthless. And this is where it comes in, where a lot of young ladies deal with. We stay for things because we don't feel like we're worth better. And so the way that he was treating her, she felt like she deserved because she wasn't a good girlfriend or whatever. And this is where it's hard when young ladies date older guys, because they're still learning a lot about who they are, and their identity, their value, and their worth. And when they date older guys, they think so highly of this guy that they look for their worth in him. So if he says that they're not this, then they're not this. And that's still not true, but a lot of young ladies deal with this. And so she began to feel like she deserved this treatment because she should have remembered what he asked her to remember. She should have done this. And they worked so hard to please this man when we should be doing that for God. And so she worked so hard to please him and to be seen with him, to look like she was, really into her faith and really had a relationship with God, when she was looking for her worth in this guy. When she should have been looking for her worth in God, and people would see that and see the outward appearance of her really worshiping God, in the outward appearance, it would look like that. But she was trying to make it look like that by being with him. And so she did end up ending this relationship. And later down the line, she ended up in the same type of relationship. And again, he's an older guy. She's a little bit older, but she's still in the same kind of manner where she's with a guy who's heavily into the church, who she thinks, everybody will see her and be impressed that she's got a guy that's holy, and they'll think that, they're both heavily in the faith together. And she's not focusing actually on her faith, but focusing on what people think her faith looks like. And so, again, this guy is verbally, emotionally abusive. Not this time physical, but he's, emotionally abusive. And she, again, thinks it's, she's worthless because he thinks she's worthless, and it's just a never-ending cycle. Until one day she realizes, and this time, this guy had raped her. She decided that she didn't want to do that. She wanted to save herself. And even though on the outward appearance this guy seemed very holy and very heavily in the church, he still wanted to do what a man wants to do. Okay? And she said no, and he raped her. And she found that her church was so welcoming. And, they had to really pray her out of that. But in that dark time, she really began to develop a relationship with God. She really began to seek God because that was all she had. She really began to need God in that moment. She finally had a reason to really seek God, and she didn't have anything else but to look to him. And that's when she realized that she was looking for her worth in all these guys and allowing what they said she was and who they said she was to be what she was, when the only thing that matters is whose she is and who God is and who God says she is. And there's so many scriptures on women, and virtuous women, and prosperous women, and Ruth and Esther. And she began to really delve in the Word and find out that, who God says she is most important. And I am is the great I am, and who he is and who she is in him is the most important thing. And so she was able to write music and minister to other young ladies and mentor other young ladies and really take in who she was and really be able to understand that she had worth no matter what guy she was dating or not dating, no matter her story and what she went through or anything. She really began to see her worth. And a lot of young ladies don't come out of that. A lot of young ladies, especially dealing with sexual assault, is something really, really, really detrimental to a lot of young ladies and really darkens them. It really, makes them feel dirty and worthless. And I hate that feeling, and I hate that, so many young ladies have to deal with that. And I myself have not dealt with that, praise God. But I feel for some ladies. I have had some experiences that aren't as severe, but and I will get into that maybe sometime if you ladies, want to talk as we go into these talks here we have. But, I just thank God that she shared her story, because so many young ladies do deal with finding their worth, finding their value, and trying to put their worth in the hands of a man who has no idea what to do with it, has no idea the level of power that we as women carry. And when they do, they don't want you to realize it. A lot of men do realize the power that a woman carries, and he realizes that she doesn't realize it. So therefore, he tries to make you think that you're worthless and make you think you're dumb, so you won't reach your full potential, that he's not on that level. He's inferior to the actual power that you possess. But he makes you think that you're worthless so that you don't behold that power, that you don't outshine him. And that's what we deal with a lot of these church boys. These church boys are still, as you ladies say, F-boys. Until they realize they're not of God. Just because a man goes to church, just because a man sits in Bible study every Sunday, just because a man grew up at church camp, doesn't mean he actually was indulging in that word. It doesn't mean he actually was absorbing it. It doesn't mean he's actually professing it. And he might be, but he's still flawed. We all sin and fall short of his glory. And so, sometimes these guys, they go to church and everything because it looks good. It's appealing to a woman like me, but they are a wolf in sheep's clothing, because they prey on the deepest, darkest insecurities. And when they find them, they use them against you. So, ladies, I want you to be discerned when you meet these guys. And if you're able to really find who you are and really get into your word and realize who you are and reach your full potential and really realize the power that you possess, a man won't be able to break that wall down deep enough to physically, emotionally abuse you, because you'll know, hey, I don't deserve this. No, sir. You won't even be allow him to get that close to you. You will say, hey, I don't deserve this. I am on a level that you cannot reach. And until you really get into your word and you know God on the level that I know, then we can't even deal. We can't deal, sir. So I just encourage you to really know your value. Really get into who you are and whose you are before you decide to deal with a man. Because if you're going to look for your worth in that man, then you don't need to be with him. You don't need to be with any man or boy. Young girls, you don't need to be with a boy until you are able to know who God is, have a relationship with him. And then you can't have a relationship with a man until you've had a relationship with God, if you're in that Christian realm. Have a relationship with him. Know your worth, so that respect and honesty and anything else, if he's not coming with that, then he can't come to you. He has to come to you correct before you get to that point. So I encourage you to really get into your word, really find out who you are and whose you are, and then date. If it is up to your parents or whatever their standards are, do that. Women, my age of 25, we still gotta fall into these traps. Know your worth before you even think about dating. We're so focused on getting that ring, but is he equally yoked with you? Is he ready to step up to the plate? Does he possess what a godly husband should? But when we have that worth and that value built up already, and we know who we are and the power that we possess, any man that doesn't come correct will fall behind. He'll flee, because he knows that you're not. If he knows that he can't entrap you like a wolf in sheep's clothing and pull the wool over your eyes, then he's not even going to try. He's not even going to be able to break that barrier. So get into your word and find out who you are. God bless.